Hey girl, hey, welcome back to my channel. It's your girl Misha. Thank you guys for joining me yet again for another review. Tonight we are back with a brand new episode of Married to Medicine Reunion Part 2. If you are new here, then welcome. If you are back for a second or third time, then welcome back. I give lighthearted reviews with a little bit of laughter and an entertaining twist with a little bit of shade. Part 2 of the reunion review starts now. When the episode first picks up, we left off, with Quad speaking for Contessa about filing for her separation, right? So Heavenly was very emotional as well as the other ladies. And one thing about this franchise, they are going to advocate for each other's marriages. I do appreciate that. But looking at Scott and Contessa, child, let's just get into it as we get into it. So in the back, Scott was like, we talked about it for sure. Cecil gonna say, what we talking about? Cecil, stay away from the bar. We're talking about them separating. Honey, I know it's hard to follow. Child, so then Scott said, she did do it, but she pulled it back. Karen said, well, she didn't pull it back right now. Honey, I know that's right. Please, Dr. Karen, get the boys together. See, Dr. Karen gonna tell the truth. Honey, I just don't know what's happening. So Scott gets up because he's trying to, storm off because he did not like what he heard and he felt like Quad knew something that he didn't know, which was a lie. So Quad said, if I may. So in the back, Eugene was like, no, you may not. Now, honey, I don't know what's Eugene's problem with Quad, but Miss Quad, Eugene don't see it for you, honey. So then Scott said, she should be the last one talking. Scott, sit this one out, honey, because this is all your fault. So Curtis said, Scott. Eugene said he should be able to say whatever the heck he want to say. Curtis said, no, he cannot. In this moment, no, he cannot. And, child, I don't know, honey. This is what I feel. I feel Scott is just mad because Contessa has people behind her. He does not like her having support. That's just my assessment of it. So Quad said Contessa has, tried and tried to no avail. And so she's moved forward with seeing what her life would be like without him. Quad, honey, with all due respect, Miss Ma'am, why are you speaking for Contessa? This is her story to tell. Now, Contessa, if you don't want to tell it, then we can move forward with the rest of the reunion. Because Quad is not married to Scott. And Miss Ma'am is not dead. No, I'm just kidding. Quad is not married to Scott, honey. Oh, child, moving forward. Scott said, I'm going to leave because this is a sneak attack. So Cecil was like, you know what? I got to admit, I got to agree. So Cecil said, I want you to say your piece, though. Scott in the back gathering all his things. He's like, nah, I'm out. Contessa on stage, she's like, I'm really trying. I've tried. Quad said, well, will you be honest and tell Andy why you went to school and what that was? And she said, what do you think? Why don't you say it? Quad said, why is it so challenging for you to say it? You have us talking, but we want you to say it. She says, because women are brutal. No matter what you say, they will try to blame it on you. Well, honey, it's your truth. We need to hear it straight from you. Scott is getting all up in arms, getting all his things together. Boy, bye, honey. Boy, gone. If you want to leave, then leave. So then the producers say, do you want a chance to address it on stage? He said, no, I'm out. So then Curtis comes, and Curtis tells him that if he doesn't get on stage and say what, he disagrees with as far as what Contessa is saying, then they'll only get one side. And this is for the world to see, so he can't leave right now, right? Not that it will make any difference to me, but I would love to hear what you have to say. Okay, I want to hear what you have to say for yourself. Side note, Curtis is huge. I was looking at him standing on the side of little bitty Lion Scott, and I was like, why is he so big? My God, honey, you definitely know he played basketball, football, some kind of ball. So Quad is out there, and she's like, well, she said that she separated and went to school and dug deeper, and he did whatever it is he did. And Andy said, that was actually smart because you got degrees to prepare yourself for the future and prepare your family, right? And so then Cecil was in the back telling Scott, listen, you can't leave right now, okay? You don't need to worry about what they're saying. Don't let that affect what's real and important to you, and that's your wife and your family. I like that the men are talking to Scott, and I like they're talking him through it. Oftentimes, other people encourage tearing the family apart. But at the same time, they need to hold him accountable. What they need to be telling him is, Scott, you're going to have to tell the truth because it's out there. So go out there, be completely transparent. Don't worry about the other women because they are going to give you their 2 cents. But right now, you earned it. Child, so Scott said, well, if she talked to Quad and she ain't talked to me, how she know before I know? Scott, you know, and you knew. Okay, so stop acting like you're confused. So you're saying you're separated and you didn't know it? Boy, you a lie. So the men start crashing the stage, right? Well, basically the other men were off to the side, and here comes Scott. So Scott runs up on Contessa and says, so you shared something with Quad you didn't share with me? She said, what did I share with Quad? He said, she just talked about, what you're going through. She said, we didn't talk about that? Well, maybe if you weren't so dismissive and so unwilling to hear her, then you would know. If you're saying you're not privy to the information. I mean, that's just a thought. So then Contessa said, so we aren't having problems? He said, yeah, but we said we was going to work through it. She said, you didn't want me to tell him. He said, no, it's cool. You can tell him. He said, you said you were going through it. And so then Quad was like, no, she said separation. Andy said, she filed for a legal separation. He said, what's the difference? Separation is the same as divorce to me. Scott, you can't bully her into a different headspace or another answer, okay? Scott give me real life Ike Turner vibes. Like his aura is just bad. I wouldn't even want to be around him. I mean, it's just something about him. I just would not want to be around him. So Scott said, I don't want it to go left. I don't even want to go as far as what Cecil and Simone did. She said, and that's what I'm saying. And that's what we've been saying. What are y'all saying? Honey, please let me know. What are you saying? The bottom line is this. Scott, you're not going to do the counseling, then it won't change, okay? If you're not going to do the work, then it won't change. You have to exhibit different behavior. Somebody needs to tell you that within this group. All this y'all talking amongst each other and talking to Andy and talking to us, who cares? Because you two have to go home together. So if you don't want to do the hard work, then you may as well accept the separation and take your flowery jacket to your hotel room, honey, because you are now officially separated. Child. So then she said, well, what you have to understand is everybody is saying there's a problem. I'm not crazy. He was like, I'm not saying you're crazy. She's like, I just think I'm crazy. So she's crying, honey. He's gaslighting her, per usual. And he said, did you know about the separation? He said, yeah, I got the paperwork. He said, how long ago did you file? He said, like a month ago. She said, no, 6 months ago. 6 months ago? Okay. That's a huge difference. Andy said, have you talked to the kids? Scott was like, we mentioned it. Contessa said, Scott, we did have a conversation with the kids. Scott, you are continuing to lie. I don't know why you're trying to hide it. So then Toya said, Scott, now leave it up to Toya to get down to the nitty gritty, honey. Now, Toya can be tacky, but when it comes to these marriages, Toya gonna get in there and get into it as she gets into it. So Toya says, Scott, it looks like, Contessa really wants to work on her marriage and she's willing to be really honest. And it looks like you're not willing to be honest. He said, yeah, whatever the truth is, I don't mind. Another lie. So then Contessa said, the truth is we need help. Toya said, have you been unfaithful in your marriage? Then they take a commercial break. Y'all, Scott was looking all around, upside down, left and right, shifty and shady. Have you been unfaithful? Honey, I can answer that. Yes. Child, he was like, no, heck no. Okay. No, so then he said, heck yeah. Boy, you have not been faithful in this marriage, child. Dr. Simone said, you have to make one sacrifice. He said, you don't think I've tried? She said, what's the one thing I told you I wanted, Scott? He didn't know the answer. The one thing was counseling, right? He's like, you don't think I put in an A for effort? Oh, my goodness. No. Judging from this, no. We don't think you put in an A for effort. We don't think you get an E for effort. We don't think you're doing anything that says effort. So on the sidelines, Dr. Kieran is like, this is all over the place. And I'm just so confused. And Cecil's like, I'm a data and facts kind of guy, and I'm not getting the data and facts on this. And I don't know what they're on. Honey, neither do we, because Scott gaslights and lies and talks in circles. So then Andy looked to Jackie and Simone and said, what advice do you have? Jackie said, intense counseling and don't stop. So then Contessa said, ever since we've been married, the fights have been bad and divorces just come up way too much. And then their fights get volatile and toxic, and she doesn't want to live like that because she grew up in a home that was volatile, right? My opinion of this is that the kids are the ones who are going to suffer in the long run. if they don't fix this one way or another. Sometimes two people just aren't meant to be. I've been there. I cried more than I smiled. My hurt was for my son at first because I was painting this picture of perfection. But, after the dust settled and I realized that it was for the best. Some days I'm exhausted. I do everything all on my own. His dad is not involved, and sometimes I just really have nothing to give. But I know it's better than what life was. And that's just me being real and transparent with all of you. Sometimes it is better to be separate. Okay? So, I understand that she wants to hold on for the sake of the children. And sometimes we use that as an excuse to hold on to something we know is no good. I was there. I was like, I have a small baby. I want to keep my marriage. It's for better or for worse, through sickness and in health. I was physically sick. I was throwing up. I was losing my hair. I was crying all the time. I was trying to keep tabs on him and take care of a newborn. Honey, no ma'am. Honey, I would never go back to that life. If you gave me this life and that life, I would pick this one every single time. And Contessa, the way you are crying on that stage, honey, this ain't the first time and it will not be the last. I don't advocate for a marriage breaking down, but when I'm looking at her, I see me. This is just my opinion. So I don't want people coming down in the comments like, why are you telling her to break up her marriage? I'm not telling her anything. I'm telling you what worked for me. And sometimes you just got to walk away. He said, I grew up in a volatile home as well. We don't care. So she's like, all these little scars that he's creating are creating wounds. And at this point, I'm raw. And that's what I told y'all, honey. I was raw to the white meat. Honey, he couldn't even look at me. Nobody could pay me to be in a relationship with him. Honey, I don't even like holding a conversation, okay? Scott said, we argue a lot, but, it's not like that. Oh, my goodness, child. It's not volatile. Scott, are you present, honey? So Andy is like, Scott, you seem to not be here, basically. So then he tries to get up and leave. Come on. He's like, I'll leave. Y'all can finish talking. So Simone is like, nope, that's a defense mechanism. You need to come on back. So then he's like, no, I didn't mean to interrupt y'all. Well, no, you're here now. So sit down and face the heat. He was like, I came out prematurely. I thought, she was done. She should be, but she's saying she's not. So Toya said, she doesn't want to be done. Contessa said, he just wants me to shut up. He doesn't want me to talk about it. And that's the truth. She said, I feel like I'm living Groundhog's Day over and over and over. And she feels like her head is in a dryer. Andy was like, you feel gaslit. Yes. Thank you, Andy, honey. And you're really on my list because I kind of don't even really just like you after what you did last year. But that's not, that's a story for another day. But that was a good one. So she said, how can you talk to someone crazy day in and day out and expect them still to love you? Child, she has been dying to be heard. He is emotionally manipulating her, silencing her, and gaslighting all at the same time. Honey, this is emotional torture. I never like to see a marriage fall apart, but honey, it may be time to let this go. So I'm speaking from experience. So Dr. Heavenly says, Scott, why are there so many rumors? He said, as far as I know, there aren't any rumors. Then he says, like when, the whole Layla thing with the girlfriend, that was just her, laughing. Then he pulls out his phone and says, Siri, call Dr. Scott's girlfriend. And then Siri said, calling Tessa, babe. Siri, shut the hell up, honey. He even manipulating you. He manipulating Siri too. Honey, I am not buying it in the slightest. So then they do this flashback. No, that is not what originally was stated. Layla said that you said call girlfriend and Siri said which one. Now all of a sudden you're saying call Tessa, babe, the girlfriend or whatever. Scott know good and well he fixed that contact. Child, you ain't fooling me. He really thinks we're dumb. That's the part that's irritating me about him, is that he thinks that we're stupid. Okay? So then he said, I just put it back on there because I had it on there before, but then I took it off. Scott, just stop, honey, stop. So Cecil in the back said, damn, he should have left that part out. Cecil, everybody knows you're lying, honey. It's embarrassing at this point, honey. It's looking like a fool, okay? So Cecil and Eugene on the side saying, flag on the play, throw in the towel, get him out of there. Let him face every little bit of embarrassment that he's facing. So when he goes out into the real world, these side chicks that are DMing him knows exactly what they're getting. Let it unfold before our eyes, honey. So Simone starts asking him about the DMs. He said, I never really just knew what a DM was until last year. Okay. Then he looked and said, they're all full of crazy stuff. So you mean to tell me you as a grown man and a medical doctor didn't know what a DM was? What kind of doctor are you, honey? Dr. Seuss? Boy, goodbye, honey. I would never entrust you to care for me. Andy asked him if he was responding to the crazy-ish, right? He said, I responded, like, damn, I responded like that, but I just didn't say, like, meet me later on tonight. Oh, my God. Heavenly said, he deflecting, he lying. Heavenly, like, saying this off to the side, speaking to, I think she was just talking out loud, honey, I don't know. So Contessa said, our different philosophies on marriage is the problem. It's not even the DMs. Contessa, please do not downplay the DMs, baby, because that's wrong as well, okay? We got to get to all of the problems, not just one. That's the problem. You let him get away with stuff and then he thinks it's okay. So no, honey, that's wrong, as well as your philosophies about marriage. So she said, I'm only in control of me. I've tried asking him to do right. I've tried everything I could do. I'm tired of talking. I can only do what's best for me. So then we see them going to the back. And he's like, I came out, prematurely. I guess you could just chalk it up to love. She gonna look back and say, oh, that's sweet. Girl, no, it's not, honey. It's bull. He doesn't want you to find your happiness. He knows what you have to offer. Scott ain't stupid, honey. He's not a dummy. He's a dummy, but he's not a dummy, if y'all know what I mean. So Eugene comes over. He's like, the surprise came when we heard Quad say it, and that's what made him come up. Well, she asked Quad to speak on her behalf. So, did y'all miss that? He said the honesty doesn't need to be, with us. It needs to be between you two. So she's back there sharing with Simone her hurt, right? Here comes Jackie. I want to save my marriage. Start there. She said, I have. That's why I've been going to therapy. I've been going by myself. And I said, if I go by myself and he joins me, then that's cool. So Jackie is like, your words manifest themselves. She says, okay, we're speaking about manifestation. I'm on the Instagram, faking it till I make it, pretending to be happy when I'm not. Is that not manifestation? And Jackie was like, well, you can't complain and then boom, and then complain. And then, Jackie, seriously? Contessa said, I haven't complained about nothing. She said, I'm going to stop telling y'all anything. This is my thing. Jackie, how dare you? Now, this is my assessment of what Jackie is doing. Y'all may see it differently, but I feel like Jackie is putting all of everything that's happening off on Contessa. Us as women, we do that. We go to our friend group. We vent. But then things might get back on track, or so we thought. And then we're back in our marriage, because remember, for better or for worse. So if you're going to say, I want to work on my marriage, if you're going to preach that part or speak your speech on that part, then you also need to remember what vows she took. So in her mind, she's doing the right thing. And for you to look at her as a friend and say, well, don't come complaining to me and then you go back over there. I understand that logic, but at the same time, it's easier said than done. And when you're in it, it's definitely easier said than done. So, you really need to create a judgment-free zone, because if you see those men in the back, honey, they ain't judging Scott. They patting him on the back, high-fiving him, and trying to help him lie. Child, so then she's like, I'm not telling y'all anything else. And she said, stop putting it all on me. If you want to be my friend, stop putting it all on me. And I just was like, Jackie, do you remember how you felt in that space? Honey, to blame her is just wrong. And that's just how I feel about it. So Heavenly said, listen, we want you to be happy, and whatever that looks like, because this breakdown cannot continue. You're crying constantly. You're always breaking down. And Quad said, she just can't do it alone. And those are all facts. I have nothing else to say about that besides facts. Quad goes up to Scott because she sees him in the hallway, right? She said, listen, I just want to tell you that I'm not against you. I am not against you. I am Team Metcalf. I want to see the two of you win. He's like, thank you so much, because I know Quad felt like that he felt that she was against him, but she wanted to let him know that she's actually not. She just wants him to work on fixing it. In the other room, Toya is telling Contessa, that the two of them need a break. She's like, we've taken a break. She said, no, a serious break until things change. Because taking a break and then no change is happening, then y'all come back and then no change is happening, it's not going to work. And that's the truth. So then we revisit the Jackie and Simone breakdown. Andy said in 2019, y'all had a problem. Dr. Jackie said, well, when you don't work on a relationship, it fails. So then a viewer asked, why didn't she invite Dr. Jackie to her son's graduation party? I thought that was so wrong. After years of friendship and her delivering him, I just felt like that should have been a moment to just put all the pettiness and the BS to the side and say, you know what, I'm not really rocking with her like this, but I'm going to go ahead and invite her to this, and she can just keep my distance from you, drop off your little graduation present, honey, and go head on. But that's just what I would have done. So she's like, Simone said it was only close friends, and me and Jackie, we were awkward at the time, and I didn't want any awkwardness at my son's graduation, tailgating party. Honey, y'all were in a parking lot. It would have been fine. So then Andy said, and plus Anila. Ooh, the shade. And she was like, yes, plus Anila. She came with Toya, but she was the only outside person. Okay. I was thinking that too, Andy. It's some bull, okay? So Andy asked if Quad meant what she said on Watch What Happens Live, because Quad was saying that, Simone and Jackie only made up for the show. So she said, yes. I stick by that. I said what I said and I ain't changing it. And, but I think that it's more that they're arguing about and I want to know what it is. And then we take a commercial. We come on back. Basically, they're both still holding on to hurt after feeling like the other didn't have their back, right? I wish they would just get over that. You guys have a really long friendship. It's something that we look forward to when we watch Married to Medicine. You're the nucleus of the show. Outside of Mariah when she was there and her relationship with Quad until it fell apart. You two are more than just friends. The viewers have come accustomed to actually seeing the two of you together. So Simone, cut the crap, stop holding grudges. Jackie, stop sitting back and phoning it in and become friends again because y'all getting on my nerves. Moving forward. So then they started asking Simone about her and Heavenly. And Heavenly was like, I've reached out to Simone. I invited her to my 50th birthday party. Simone ain't rocking with me. Simone said, well, it's going to be baby steps because Heavenly sits back and she talks about my teeth. She talks about my overbite. And I'm not seeing it for her. I'm just not. So then Andy said, have you talked about her teeth? And Heavenly said, I have. And so then we don't know where they stand. Hopefully the Golden Girls can come back together. So then the men come out. Eugene was like telling Andy, we wanted to get out here so bad to help Scott. Hush, Eugene. What you wanted to do, honey? Come out here and help a liar lie? Please be quiet, honey. Just be quiet. You need to be worried about why Toya emasculates you. Honey, you're getting on my nerves. It's just something about you right now that's getting on my nerves. He put himself in the hot seat. So therefore, and thus and such, he gonna have to take this heat. So he's shady, right? So he greets Cecil. Then he says, Cecil, lots of homes on the market, lots of homes being sold. Are you getting any listings within the group? Honey, not you shooting. Honey, not you throwing shade at Toya and Eugene for selling their home, honey. Cecil said, no, I want to keep my friendship, so I'm leaving those listings alone. I know that's right. So then we revisit Scott and these pictures that live in the phone. So Scott is like, I don't have other women's pictures in my phone. Eugene said, the pictures are in your phone. They were on your phone. So Scott said, oh, you mean like, you're talking about the DMs. You're talking about the DMs. That's not a picture. But if the picture is the DM, then yeah, I have pictures in. But the DM, shut up. So she DM'd you that picture? Honey, that's even worse. You walking around keeping a DM from this esthetician. Child, So then they talked about him responding to the DMs. Eugene said the best thing to do is just to block them. So Cecil said, or don't even respond. And then Eugene says, or respond, I am a married man, and then block them. That's even doubling down. No, Eugene, you're doing too much. Give them nothing, okay? They get nothing. And my thing is this. On Instagram, if you receive a DM and that person is not following you, they have to request to send you a message. So you have to go into your request, view the message, accept it, block it, or delete it. So I'm not buying that, you see these DMs and you don't know what's happening because you have to physically go in to even respond. So Eugene, honey, we might need to check out what you got going on. I'm side-eyeing you because first of all, you want to come out here and save Scott. That's number one. Number two, You're saying you tell them you're a married man as if they don't know, as if they've not seen you on Married to Medicine for 8 seasons. I'm not understanding, honey. Toya, be vigilant, honey. Child, they know you're married, honey. That's why they're DMing you. They're no fools. So then Curtis said, you just can't do it. And I'm like, you can't do what? Curtis, get to it. He's like, you can't respond. Now, I don't know if you go so far as to block them right away. I told y'all Curtis still can't be trusted. I told y'all Curtis is for the streets. I'm never going to trust that Curtis is sitting at home while Jackie eats dry salads and grilled chicken. No cooking, no cleaning. And I'm not buying that Curtis is on the straight and narrow, and nobody can convince me otherwise. It's something about his little shifty ways that I don't trust. And back in the day when he pulled Toya down on his lap, I will never forget it. So Jackie in the back talking about, you big dummy. Honey, it would be your man. So then Cecil said, Curtis is not on social media. He's like, yeah, I'm not. Yeah, right, honey. Not that y'all know. Child, those little gray profiles with that 0 post, but they're following 50 million people. That's Curtis. Baby, Curtis got a social media, honey. He ain't fooling me. So then Andy asks about the life coach situation, right? Curtis said, he told us what happened. He explained it to us, and it made perfect sense. So I'm going to let Scott explain it. So Pinocchio begins to lie, nose growing and with each syllable. And he said, Contessa knew, because I told her off camera, and we were sitting around the table, and I told her I was seeing a life coach, and I told her name, and she asked how long. Basically, I was being petty and childish, and I made it up to say that I got a life coach before she got a life coach. But in the end, she knew that I didn't have a life coach. When I tell y'all I watched that 15 times trying to figure out what in the hell were you talking about? Say what now? What? And this is what y'all thought made sense? Andy looked at them and he said, and this is what convinced you? And scene. Honey, and that was the end of part 2. I'm not sure why we need a part 3 because I'm exhausted. Okay? Quite frankly, we can leave it there. But we're going to come back again next Sunday with the mess. Hopefully, I can get the review out faster. Please do not hesitate to like, comment, and subscribe. Tell me what you thought about Scott and Contessa's interaction. Tell me if you feel like they should continue on. And as always, stay safe, stay blessed, spread love, not germs. Peace.